how I passed the CompTIA Trifecta. That's A+, Network+, and Security+. Let's get into it. Good afternoon, guys. This is Christoph. I just wanted to present this content, finally get it out there, to give you guys a process that I use to pass these exams, which are pretty much the same for each exam with a few different resources based on what I learned and how I understood what my learning style was. And in doing so, I created a study formula for myself, and I was able to use this formula to achieve success in all these exams. At any point in the video, you can skip ahead to the test that you're going to take. I wouldn't want to bore you the details of a test that you're not actually going to take, so go ahead and skip to A+, or skip to Network+, skip to Security+, to see the resources that I use on that specific test. I'll begin with A+. That was the first CompTIA exam that I actually took, and I decided to go with 1002, which is the Core 2 exam, aka the software side, and at the time that was 1002. Now it's being called 1102. So I decided to take that first because I was more keen on the software side as to the hardware side. First resource that I actually used for A+ was Professor Messer's A+ videos on YouTube. They went in line with the objectives that CompTIA has listed on the objective PDF for the exam. Another one of the resources that I used from Professor Messer was his weekly pop quizzes. So you actually go on his website and subscribe to these pop quizzes that come in via email, and they're random questions, and you answer the questions to basically gauge your knowledge on the various concepts of A+. Another resource that I found useful during my studies of A+ was Professor Mike Myers' Udemy course. On Udemy, these are courses that you have to pay for, but the great thing about Udemy is that they have flash sales all the time. So you can get a course that's regularly priced for, let's say, $100 for $15. And these sales are happening all the time. So if you check Udemy every day, then you'll definitely be able to catch a sale on a course that you'd like to have. So I purchased this course for 1002 at the time and 1001. And I found it to be very informational. You know, he's very quirky, but I like the way that he teaches and gives you some hands-on guidance on various pieces of hardware or software that you'll see out in the field, and the various support tools that you'll use to fix a computer or a device. Those are the three resources that I use for CompTIA A+. Next, we'll get into Network+. This is N10-008. But for Network+, again, I use Professor Messer's YouTube course, and one resource that I found was the Anki flashcard app. And you create these online flashcards that you can basically sync between your mobile device and your computer. I love that program a lot. I use it for actually A+, Network+, and Security+. And it definitely helped me to pass and to retain all the information that I learned. So using Anki along with Professor Messer's video, just going in order of objectives, helped me to stay organized while I'm studying. And I can easily go back to a specific section in my flashcards instead of using, physical flashcards. Along with Professor Messer YouTube videos, I also utilize his weekly pop quizzes. Along with the weekly pop quizzes, Professor Messer actually has monthly study groups for each exam. And right before taking the exam, maybe like a day or two before, I would watch one of these study groups. It's about maybe 2 hours long, maybe less, maybe more for each study group. And he goes through and asks certain questions. And if you can actually attend the live event by checking his website's calendar, you can answer the questions in real time. This is a great resource to use when you're studying, in my opinion. I also found another course on Udemy from Jason Dion, exceptional course. I really love it. He is such a great teacher, especially with advanced concepts. He will provide real-world examples and tie them in with these specific concepts in networking to get you a better understanding of what's being discussed. So I definitely recommend getting his course, especially on sale. He also has a practice exam at the end of the course that you can take to solidify your understanding of the concepts. Jason also has 6 practice exams, which is in another, I guess you'd say, course. So he couldn't put all 6 exams with the training course, so he separated it, and you can actually purchase that on sale as well. And it's another great resource. After watching both courses and using the flashcards, I would, right before the exam, maybe a week or 2 before the exam, I would go through and take the test. If you achieve a score of 90 or above on the exams, it tells you that you're ready to take the real thing. But if you don't get a 90, if you get, let's say, an 80, that doesn't mean that you're not ready, as I've gotten 80s before on the exams and still passed Network Plus. It just means that you should probably go back and review some things that you're not sure of, which is great because you do get a lot of feedback on the responses that you didn't get correct from these exams, so I found that helpful as well. Moving on to Security Plus, which is SY0-601. I again use Professor Messer's Security Plus YouTube videos. I utilize his weekly pop quizzes, and I also utilize his study group right before taking the exam. I also purchased Jason Dion's Security Plus course. Again, fantastic. If I could give his courses on Udemy 20 stars, I would. And I also purchased his practice exams along with utilizing these other resources and Anki as well as my flashcards. I also utilize the CTF, or Capture the Flag, called Trifecta, another great resource for security professionals or budding security professionals. And I utilize Trifecta to get a better understanding of using IPS, for example, IDS, reading logs. This is some of the stuff I learned from Trifecta to really cement my knowledge and utilizing some tools that we'll use in the field. Those are pretty much all the resources that I use for all 3 exams. Next, I'll go through some tips for any test takers that are currently studying for any one of these exams. Tip number 1. CompTIA is very tricky in the way that they ask questions. I definitely recommend reading the question multiple times, make sure you understand it, and selecting the best answer. CompTIA likes to add 2 or maybe even 3 sometimes answers that are closely aligned and sound like they could be the answer for the question, but based on what is being asked, you have to select the one that is more acceptable for that question. Tip number 2, very important. I highly recommend skipping the performance-based questions, which are always at the beginning of the exams, and going straight to the multiple choice. The PBQs are usually very involved and do take a bit of time just to get through. So that's why I recommend skipping those first and going to the multiple choice, where you'll be able to answer all the questions, rack up as much points as you can, and then going back to performance-based questions to answer in the allotted time you have left. I will tell you guys, that's the reason why I failed 1002 the first time. I severely underestimated the CompTIA exams, and I also spent way too much time on the PBQs, and I eventually ran out of time on my multiple choice questions, where I could have received not easy points, but a chance of getting the right answer out of 4, since there are usually 4 answers to select from on these multiple choice questions. So I recommend, again, skipping the PBQs, going straight to the multiple choice, and then going back to the PBQs. Tip number 3. Definitely get a lot of rest. Make sure that you're well fed in the morning. Have a great breakfast, maybe ease your mind, get your mind cleared before taking the exam. You want to make sure that you're fully focused, your brain is fully ready to go to answer all the questions that will be thrown at you. There's no bathroom or snack breaks during the exam, so you want to make sure that you take care of that before going into it. That's all of the tips I have for you guys. Before I go, I do want to recommend another thing. I want you guys to check out this movie on Netflix called Missing. And the reason why I say that is I was watching the movie the other day, and I noticed a couple of security concepts which I found interesting in the movie. So without giving too much spoilers, the main character was pretty good at OSINT, just looking through the web of certain different things, collecting information, and I thought that was pretty cool. At one point, there's some impersonation. I'll let you guys see if you can locate that example. Also, utilizing remote access to tap into another person's computer. So I found those security concepts and I was like, okay, that's cool, you know. So I pretty much enjoyed the movie. It was a great story, a lot of suspense. So you guys go ahead and check that out. Peace and love, my people, and good luck to you in your studies and your cybersecurity journey.